Joining us now in studio is former Republican Senator and likely GOP presidential candidate Rick Santorum. And Senator, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you, Chris.
You support the House Republican budget, which would turn Medicare from an open-ended entitlement to a plan where the government would help seniors pay for private insurance. And you said recently we shouldn't wait 10 years to start this with people who are now under 55. In fact, you said this, let's put it up on the screen. Seniors are looking at this saying, hey, we're part of the problem and we should be part of the solution. Question, would you change Medicare right away? Would you change it for seniors who are now in the program and make them pay more for their health care?
Well, it's not making them pay more. What it does is changes from an open-ended entitlement. I mean, imagine giving someone a credit card and saying, here, spend whatever you want. I always ask this question when I'm on the road. How much money are we going to spend next year on Medicare? And before anyone answers, I said, don't answer it because you'd be lying. Because nobody knows. We spend as much as seniors spend. That is an irresponsible way of budgeting. We can't continue
Senator,
to do that.
The Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan agency, has looked at the numbers and says if you give what in effect is a voucher, help with private premium support, that over time that the seniors are going to end up paying more out of pocket, out of their own personal pocket, for health care.
Well,
but the point is, so you're saying, let's not wait 10 years, let's start doing it now.
Here's the point is, it's over time, and it's a very small amount over time. But that very small amount compounded over the years means a lot. And so for seniors today, what we're talking about is a fairly small amount, a pretty insubstantial amount for seniors today. And here's the difference. Seniors are going to be able to go out and get the policy that they want. Not one that the folks here in Washington designed for them, but in fact a policy that very well may meet their needs better than what we have today. The second thing I'd say is that this policy of what Paul Ryan has put together, this premium support model, is identical to what the president argues for in Obamacare. Obamacare is a voucher system for those who do not have insurance. It sets the amount of money that those recipients get, and it ties the increase to the consumer price index, all of which is what Ryan does. Now, when Obama does it, it's seen as a great, wonderful thing for folks. When Ryan does it for Medicare, we're cruel and horrible to seniors. You can't have it both ways.
But even Ryan says, look, the people that are currently in the system, and even the people who are close to the system, who are either 65 down to 55, they have made plans, they have saved money expecting the old plan, the old Medicare. It's not fair to change it for them right now.
Well, first off, the Medicare Advantage program is almost exactly what the Ryan plan is. The Medicare Advantage program, which Barack Obama is phasing out because he's cutting supports to it, was a program that voucherized Medicare. And by the way,
yeah, but that was an advantage. That was an add-on. That was not the basic Medicare plan.
No, it was the basic Medicare plan. It was a substitute. You could either take the Medicare Advantage program,
you had a choice.
Or you had a choice. And so, but the choice was being taken by seniors, about 25%, and it was growing every year.
More.
Well, because it allowed seniors to go out and choose the plan that they wanted. That's the key. Instead of having a government top-down program run by folks here in Washington, D.C., you had the private sector going out and designing programs that seniors wanted. That's what would happen under this program.
But you're saying start it now.
What I'd say is at least give seniors the option to do it now. I think we can move forward on it. Yeah, I think it's a good idea with the huge deficit that we have, that we need to start making some of these changes sooner rather than later.
Okay. You say in the battle of the budget that Republicans should draw the line on policy, not about arguing over a few $1 billion.
Well, particularly when you're arguing over billions of dollars that the folks on our side don't think is enough anyway. So why are you putting your stake in the ground over a number that the folks that support you don't think is enough to begin with?
So you say that the GOP should refuse to raise the debt limit until the other side agrees to take all the funding out of Obamacare, which is roughly $105 billion that is tucked inside Obamacare. Given the fact, you know as a political realist, the president would never accept that, are you willing to let this country go into default?
Well, is the president willing to let this country go into default to support a program that has been found unconstitutional by a couple of courts.
And has been found constitutional by a couple of courts.
Again, but has been found unconstitutional by a couple of courts, has also has wildly unpopular, it's 60% negative across this country, is already increasing the cost of health care, is already causing job losses because of the complexity and the taxes that are being put into place. This is a program that, if the president wants to defend it, he should stand up and say the 2012 election's about Obamacare. We'll put this on hold and we'll make it a referendum on Obamacare.
Okay, well, that's one thing, a 2012 election. You're saying you'd let the country go into default on this issue?
No, I think the president would let this go into default on this issue.
But you would make that the condition.
Absolutely.
Make that the price.
Absolutely.
Now, didn't you contribute to the deficit problem when you were in Congress? Back in 2003, you voted to create a new prescription drug, Medicare prescription drug benefit, but you didn't provide any funding, and according to most estimates, it's adding $60 billion a year to the deficit.
Yeah, I would say that was a mistake. That we did two things that were wrong in that bill. Number one, we made it universal. In other words, we had a problem that was about 15% of seniors didn't have prescription drugs, and the president compromised with the Democrats, President Bush, to provide a universal benefit. I was against that. I spoke against it. I worked against it, but we lost. And so now we have a situation.
And you voted for it.
I voted for it for a lot of reasons beyond the Medicare prescription drugs. For example, Medicare Advantage.
Okay.
What I talked about before.
But the point is, you created this vast new entitlement without paying for it.
I agree, and I think we should have. The second thing we should have paid for it. Again, that was not an option on the table at the time that we were voting for it. We did have a program that was substantially less money than what the Democrats were proposing, and we did have substantial reforms of Medicare as well as health savings accounts, which was a reform of the private sector that was also in this bill. So. I said at the time it was a 51-49 vote. In retrospect, it probably was 51-49 the other way.
You're campaigning hard on social issues. In fact, you're known as kind of a culture warrior. You oppose gay marriage.
I'm campaigning on all the issues.
I understand, and we've spent the last 5 minutes talking about that.
I think it's important because I know when I go on interviews, people say, well, you're the social conservative. Yes, I'm very much
I've just talked to you about great length about the budget.
I understand. I just want to make sure that we're clear. That's all.
You oppose gay marriage.
I do.
You oppose civil unions. Mm-hmm. You want to reinstate don't ask, don't tell. Do you think gays have any rights, should have any access to benefits as partners?
Well, sure. I mean, there's all sorts of contractual benefits that anybody can contract for. But the question is whether we should institutionalize that in public policy. And my feeling is that people can live their lives however they want to live it. The question is, what are you going to do to try to impact public policy to recognize particular relationships? And my feeling is the relationship that should be recognized in public policy that provides exceptional benefit, unusual, unique benefits to society is marriage. Marriage between a man and a woman who are there to join together for the purpose of continuing society, which is having children and raising those children in a home with a mom and a dad.
But you wouldn't give them any rights as a matter of public policy.
Well, it depends what you mean by rights. I mean, if you're talking benefits as far as rights, I mean, they have the right to be able to, employment. I mean, I don't know what you mean by rights. If what I'm talking about are privileges. Here, privileges of marriage, privileges of government benefits is a different thing than basic rights to be able to live their lives as they well should and can as free Americans.
Final question. Gallup came out with a poll of possible GOP hopefuls this week, and I want to put it up on the screen. Huckabee, Trump, and Romney led the field, and back in 10th place with 2% support, very good-looking fellow, Rick Santorum.
Well, thank you for that.
Given that when you ran for re-election in Pennsylvania in 2006, you got beat by 18 points, why should we take your candidacy seriously?
Well, because I think we have a great record. I have a great track record here in Washington, D.C. of doing two things. Number one, upsetting the apple cart. Washington Post the other day ran a story that Rick Santorum was a Tea Party before there was a Tea Party. I've stood up over here for conservative principles. I've fought and I've led across the board on every issue. And I've been able to win a lot of tough elections. Yeah, I lost a tough election in 2006, but I defeated an incumbent when I ran for the House. I forced out a second incumbent when I ran for re-election. I defeated a third Democratic incumbent when I ran for the United States Senate. I carried Pennsylvania in 2000 when George Bush lost it by 5 points. I won it by 5. So, yeah, in a very bad election year, as a member of the Republican leadership, when George Bush was sitting at 35% in the state of Pennsylvania, I didn't win. Well, I don't think 2006 is going to look anything like 2012. And if you look at the record is one of accomplishment, of conservative principles, and the ability to articulate that and get votes across the aisle.
We got less than 30 seconds. When you formed an exploratory committee, when will you decide whether to get in the race? In
the next few weeks. I mean, we'll be deciding this, you know, like I said, in the next few weeks.
And it's basically money. If you got enough money, you'll go?
Yeah, ricksantorum.com. Make sure, do you have that at the bottom? ricksantorum.com. Make sure you, if you want to encourage, if you like what you hear, send it away.
Senator Santorum, thank you.
You gave me the opening, Chris.
Listen, fine. Thank you for coming in. Happy Easter, and we'll follow you on the campaign trail.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.